afternoon. Thank you once again for joining. My name is Melissa Vega. I am the Client Relationship Manager here with ProductSpace Solutions. QuickBytes is a 15-minute educational series. ProductSpace conducts this series to help customers understand the latest available PLM and CAD technology solutions. I want to let you all know, everyone, your phones have been muted with the exception of our presenter and myself. Should you have any questions, feel free to post them at any time by using the chat room of this webinar. We may not answer all questions today, but we will be very happy to entertain any questions offline. At the end of the screen, we will have our contact information on the screen for you, so you can go ahead and contact us. Today's QuickBytes session is Windchill Data Migration Tool. This tool was designed by ProductSpace to simplify the data migration process for companies and their end users. I'm going to go ahead now and turn it over to our presenter, Roshan. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon to all attendees. I am Roshan Hegde, and I work as a solution architect with ProductSpace. So today we are going to discuss Windchill data migration process and ProductSpace Windchill data migrator. Any discussion on migration is a huge topic, so I have tried to minimize the content as applicable to this presentation. So today in this session, we will cover following topics: introduction, a data migration process, a data migrator framework, supported object types, and we will cover the metrics and some case studies. So let me first start with the problem area. Over the years, we have seen several companies standardizing on PLM applications. PLM once focused merely on CAD data management, has over time evolved to product data management and then to product lifecycle management. PLM applications now supported functionalities such as engineering, change management, document management, and they have now improved the scope over the years to support functionalities such as supplier management, or maybe manufacturing, service, quality and compliances, and so on and so forth. All these improvements also come with a few gaps, and one of the major gaps today is migrating data to PLM application. Coming to Windchill, migrating legacy data into Windchill system has been a fundamental requirement, yet historically it has been a laborious and manual task. The same can be said about merging information from a new acquisition into a PDM environment, or maybe rolling out a new business unit. Okay, so we have been dealing with several customers for data migration, and over the period of time that we have fine-tuned the data migration process for Windchill. We have also developed a Windchill data migrator to help with the data migration activities. So let us just take a look at the data migration process. So as you can see in the screen, a typical data migration project would typically involve 6 major phases, and they are assessment, planning, extraction, transformation, load, and validation. We broadly categorize them into 3 groups: assessment and planning, migration, and validation. The first step in the process is assessment. In this step, the source data is identified, explored, and analyzed, and data is profiled. Data quality is assessed. A typical outcome of this step would be data profiling reports, data quality reports. The second step in the process is strategy and planning. So in this step, a migration plan is created. I can probably tell you one example. One best example would be rehearsal planning. In ideal scenarios involving medium-scale migration, we have been recommending 2 rehearsals before going for a production migration. So that is something which needs to be planned. I can also give one more example. That would be to do a sample migration or to come up with the proof of concept. So those things need to be considered in data migration planning, strategy, and assessment. A typical outcome of this step would be to come up with a migration roadmap. A third step in the process would be the data extraction. Data extraction is an act of transferring the data from legacy system and placing it into a staging system. A typical outcome in this step would be the extracted data. The fourth step in the process is typically the data mapping or the transformation. So here, the data mapping procedures are performed. Data is cleansed, mapped, and transformed to meet the specification of target Windchill system. A typical outcome of such a step is cleansed data and corresponding reports. The fifth step in the process is loading the data to the target system. Cleansed data is loaded to the target system. A typical outcome of this step is loaded data and corresponding reports, such as the quantity verification reports and other reports, including the exceptions, user acceptance, and all those things. The sixth step in the process is validating the data. In this step, the unit tests are performed, user acceptance tests are performed, exceptions are handled, and conflicts are reported and they are handled. So once all initial rehearsals are positive, and once they meet the expectation of the user, a production migration is planned and performed. So going to the next slide. So technically challenging steps in a data migration are the data extraction, transformation, and load. In order to simplify this area, we have developed a Windchill data migrator. The data migrator application is built on top of a PTC framework. It comes with a WT load package, which is a set of framework utilities for loading legacy data. It simplifies the data migration process by simplifying the data preparation activity, because it has a capability to read the input from multiple sources, such as like the format files could be like CSV files or Excel files. It could also read the information from the database system in case of huge data migration projects. And providing appropriate reporting mechanism to easily generate the statistics and do the comparison. And also the other advantages are this framework is easily extendable to meet the specific customer requirements and also to do migration of several different object types. And most importantly, this framework follows the PTC guidelines. I can talk about a few other things, such as the utility is callable from the command line, as well as it can be called from a custom Java program. The utility also performs reading data from several input files. So these are some of the advantages which we can talk about. So this tool, or this data migrator, it reads the input information and then it converts them into a name value pair, which is then processed by the object loaders. Object loaders would then load the information to the Windchill system, generating the statistics and logging them to an output file. Output and status messages are written to one single log file, which can then be used to generate the statistics. So going to the next slide, the data migrator supports the following general object types in Windchill. It supports parts and corresponding subtypes, bill of materials, documents and subtypes, part-document relationship. However, I would like to specify that the Migrator has often been extended in several cases to support objects such as like manufacturers and suppliers, options, variants, hues and choices, manufacturing bill of material, representations, and in some cases we have also extended it to migrate engineering change objects. As far as parts are concerned, the application allows creating new parts, and it also allows updating the existing parts in the system. It also handles the instance-based attributes, and it can also be used to migrate part classification information. As far as bill of material is concerned, the application is capable of creating bill of material from the parts that are already present in the Windchill system. As far as the documents are concerned, the application can migrate documents and the subtypes, and it can also handle the instance-based attributes on the documents. And on the relationship, the application, in general, it can create describes by relationship between part and documents. However, we have also extended this application to build references relationship between part and documents. So quickly moving on to the next slide. Here we talk about some metrics and some case studies. In the first case, a communication equipment and aerospace company wanted to migrate documents from legacy system to Windchill. They wanted to shut down their legacy system. So the data migrator was extended to meet the customer requirements. They had some custom requirements such as zipping files and providing the secondary attachments and also publishing and so on. Okay, so the data migrator was extended to meet some of those customer requirements. We migrated roughly about 800,000 documents in about like 32 hours with 100% data accuracy. It involved like multiple iterations and multiple versions and iterations. Okay, and also it required building several relationships. I would like to highlight one thing here. So if you go by the statistics, 800,000 objects were loaded in about 32 hours. That is about 25,000 documents in 1 hour. However, the performance of the migration depends on several factors, okay, such as system configurations like RAM, CPU, whether the system is monolithic or whether it is a clustered application, etc. It also depends on customer requirements, whether you are trying to migrate a single document type or whether you are trying to perform several complex processing logic, okay, in the program before migrating the documents. So here in this case, the performance was acceptable. We loaded about like 25,000 objects per hour. The main value add in this particular case scenario was the data was migrated with 100% accuracy, and which reduced in timeline, and it also improved the system usage. In the second scenario, a beverage dispensing and cooling equipment company wanted to migrate documents from legacy system to Windchill, and the data migrator was used as is. It migrated roughly about 200,000 documents in about 4 hours with 100% data accuracy. So if you see the performance here, it uploaded about 50,000 documents in 1 hour. Once again, the performance was better because the documents were simple PDF files, and they did not have, they were medium-sized documents. They were not huge documents, so the performance was a lot better in this particular scenario. And in the third case, an automotive company wanted to migrate documents, parts, classification information from legacy system to Windchill. The data migrator was used as is, okay, and we migrated roughly about 80,000 documents in about 3 hours with 100% data accuracy. One important thing to note here is they are doing the continuous migration of parts and part classification from legacy system to Windchill. So they are using the data migrator in batch mode to continuously migrate the object. So here I'm trying to cover some metrics and some case studies just to give like how we can use the process and some of the tools to better perform the data migration activity. So with this, we come to end of the presentation. Turning over to Melissa.
Thank you so much, Roshan. I hope everybody enjoyed this quick 15-minute session. You can view this and all QuickBytes sessions on our YouTube channel. Just go to QuickBytes videos, all one word. Also, if anyone has suggestions for QuickBytes topics, we will be so happy to accommodate. The link will be available on our last screen. Now we're going to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions. I'm going to check into our chat room. Please feel free to post any and all questions in the chat room. We'll be more than happy to help. We have the first question here. Roshan, does this migration tool allow for the migration of object history, process history, iteration history?
At this particular moment of time, the migrator does not migrate the workflows. What I mean by workflow is it does not migrate the live workflows, but it is capable of migrating multiple iterations and multiple versions. So as far as object history is concerned, yes, it can, but the process history at this particular moment of time we are not handling.
Thank you, Roshan. We have another question here, and we do have time. What are the advantages to your tool over just using the Windchill tool?
There are several different aspects to consider here. So Windchill out of the box offers several different ways to migrate the data. So you have import-export framework. You also have load from file framework. Okay, and then you can also use the APIs. Okay, to come up with your own custom migrators. Okay, and also the major difference here is when you use the load from file, or if you want to use the import and export framework, the data preparation activity takes a lot of time. Okay, so here we have put together a process, okay, in such a way that you can prepare the data in such a way that you can also prepare the data very quickly. The second advantage is when you execute the migration, so for example, using import-export framework, or when you use the load from file framework, it is not very easy to come up with a statistics. Okay, so if you are trying to upload, let's say 1 million records, so you'll have to go through like several MB log files to identify how many of them got loaded and how many of them failed. If anything failed, why it failed. However, the tool that we are using, it provides all the statistics in one single log file with appropriate error message or the success message. So it is very easy to come up with the statistics and compare the input with output and see like how many of them succeeded and how many of them failed. So those are two things, and I believe those are two important things. And on the other side, when we talk about the performance, like obviously I have seen like a lot of advantage of using this tool in comparison with Windchill out of the box import and export framework.
I hope we answered your question. Thank you, Roshan. We have time for about 1 or 2 more questions. And I'd like to ask you, Roshan, how is the integrity of the data measured?
So that is more of a process question than of the tool-related question. Okay, the way we are doing the data integrity check is we do the check at multiple points. Okay, one is when you come up with the input files. Okay, that is one place where you come up with the profiling and all the related statistics. And then once you complete the load, okay, you come up with the corresponding reports, and then you do a one-to-one map to see like how the data got uploaded. And also we execute Windchill reports to ensure that the data got loaded appropriately without any problem.
Great, thank you again, Roshan. Our last question for the day, since we have 1 more minute. How easy is it to fix the data if there is a problem while migrating?
Data problem has always been an issue. So if the document that you're trying to upload has some issue, obviously we are not checking the quality of the document that you are trying to upload. What we are checking is the statistics. So if the document that is provided has issue, then obviously it is very difficult to find out. So the most important thing is the process has to be followed, and just to ensure that the data quality issues are not seen in the Windchill system.
Sounds good. Thank you so much again, everybody, for joining, Roshan for answering questions and being our presenter today. Our Windchill Data Migrator session has ended. Please register for next Friday's session, which our topic is Windchill as a Service on Cloud. If you see, we also are on YouTube, so feel free to join us there and visit any and all sessions. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Goodbye.